But Minister, you do know that we cannot be in the era of suspicion. Geosciences was identified as one of the challenges.
Thank you.
And,
yes.
you know, how far have we gone with that in terms of identifying really what the deposits that we have are, what the reserves look like, and how it is that we can begin to encourage states to look in particular areas, for instance?
Malpe, I'm so glad that you used the word we can't operate in the realm of suspicion or guesswork, which has been the bane of the sector. We talk about potential. We've talked about potential for 50 years in this sector. Yet we know that if you look at our geology, the rock formation, and compare with countries that have similar rock formation, they are already benefiting concretely from it because they spend money on exploration. Our exploration budget in Nigeria, private sector, public sector inclusive, in 2014 was less than $500,000. The exploration budget of Burkina Faso, a much smaller country, was $199 million.
$199 million?
Yes. So that gives you a sense. And if you don't dig it, if you don't find out what you have, you will continue to revel in the realm of suspicion. Oh, we have Iono. Oh, take Iono. We're talking about steel. Take Iono. Nigeria is reputed to be the country with the second largest reserve of Iono after Guinea on the continent.
Is that
2 billion.
On the basis of suspicion?
That's reserve. Reserve is not necessarily proven find. It's again estimation, because what we have is airborne geophysical survey that the federal government spent money on a few years ago. But the airborne geophysical survey will not give you an exact sense of what you have. I mean, if you're going into oil industry, for example, you have seismic survey that will say, okay, you're getting this block. This block has this number of barrels that can come from out of it in the next 10 years. And you can use that to calculate a bankable project and approach a financial institution that, look, this is what I've got, this is the seismic survey, this is how long it's going to be on for, and this is the likely amount of money that I'm going to generate from this. And then the bank will take you serious. That's what we're doing now, but it's a long-term issue. But you can't leave it to just private sector investors alone. Government must play a part in exploration.
Do we have plans, or what are our plans for our Jakarta steel mill?
What are our plans? Well, first and foremost, it was interesting. I heard you talking about TPE, and there's been a lot of hullabaloo around TPE and other interested parties. There are so many people who have approached us that they can fix Ajaokuta. And they've been trying to fix Ajaokuta for God knows how long, since it started in 1981. The problem of Ajaokuta is not about the interested parties. We have a legal problem hanging on our head as far as Ajaokuta is concerned, and it's about sanctity of contracts. That is why investors are afraid to come to Nigeria. That's why we're still talking about ease of doing business. If we don't guarantee sanctity of contracts, we would always run into problems. And we are trying to negotiate our way out of it now, because we could do what others have done and just gone roughshod into Ajaokuta and start doing things. But the problem is, we are in arbitration in London at the International Court over the abrupt revocation of the concession to global steel industry in 2008 by the Yar'Adua administration.
Is that the same problem with Alaja? Delta Steel Company, Alaja?
Delta is slightly different, because Delta is actually a private company. It doesn't belong to government. Delta has been privatized. Delta is a problem between AMCON, that took it into receivership, and the people who originally bought it from the Bureau of Private Enterprises and other players in Delta. So that's slightly different. Ajaokuta belongs to the federal government. You know, it was a concession agreement.
I wanted us to
so
quickly.
We shouldn't even be labeled with all these hullabaloo over TP, Chinese, this and that. We need to get Ajaokuta back first.
Dr. Fayemi, I think let's quickly see if we can bring it to the realm of understanding of Nigerians who are interested in going into business, in the solid mineral business, which is very key here, away from Ajaokuta, and those who are, because this is the first time we get to hear more discussion about solid minerals, and if you say people can actually apply and get licenses and they want to go in, just what we've seen in other African countries, perhaps we should start talking and see how individuals, business and corporate people, not only the Dangotes who are now in Opila and so many other places, we can create so many of them. How easy it is for the Nigerian who really wants to go into explorative, venture in the solid minerals to get license?
Actually, quite easy, Suleiman. There is what we call the Nigerian Mining and Minerals Act, 2007. And it's one of the best laws you have in the industry. And that's not me saying that. That's the World Bank and other people who have looked at the law and compared with other laws around the world. It's very explicit about what you need to do if you want to apply for license. We have an office under my ministry that is specifically dedicated to granting licenses. It's called the Mining Cadastral Office. And what that office does is look at your application, assess whether the place you want to apply for, either a reconnaissance license, anybody can get a reconnaissance license, which is just to go and fish in the dark, just look around. And we can give as many of such licenses as possible. You graduate from a reconnaissance license to an exploration license. That means you're getting more serious. And you can have that in the first instance for 3 years, to go and dig and explore in a particular cadastral where you've been assigned to look for the mineral that you claim is likely to be there. And if we see that you're serious and you have progress reports, you can renew that for another 2 years.
Was that the license that a lot of people were rushing to renew recently?
That's what they were rushing, because we put a clear demarcation that, look, it's no longer going to be business as usual.
There's an increase in traffic.
Oh, there was an increase in traffic, because you would recall that I put a March 31st deadline that if you do not renew your license, many people just hold licenses in their pockets. They don't do anything with it. They believe that they can hawk it around. You get a license and then you go to mining exhibitions abroad and say, look, I had this. And of course, they don't make much success of that. So people have increased their attention. They've returned to either renew their licenses or voluntarily withdraw.
One more
and
thing
that's
before
the clause, use or lose clause.
We'll have to go, but could you tell us, because we've seen several reports about illegal mining. What are you doing about that?
It's a challenge. It's a big challenge, but it's one that can be overcome over time. I would rather say informal mining, because you have 80% of this industry in that sector. These are people who just go around with shovels and diggers and they're prospecting for stuff. They get stuff.
So they work for fishing in the dark.
Oh yes, they get stuff. You see them, you go to Zamfara, you go to Kaduna, you just see them, they're digging, and they know that in their community they see some shining stones and rocks and something must be here, and then they dig and they find. And then you have a lot of foreign indigens also, Chinese, Indians in Taraba, in Cross River, all over the place, looking for gemstones, which they do find. Blue sapphire here, gold there, tourmaline here, because Nigeria is indeed endowed.
So what are you going to do about it?
What we're doing about it, it's not criminalizing them, and that's why I said I didn't want to use the terminology illegal. It's helping them, because they're just eking out a living in a poverty-driven environment. People just want to survive, and they're even cheated. They get these things, and they're paid peanuts by these externals who collect it from them. Government loses money. They lose the worth of what they have, and ultimately nobody is a winner. So what we're doing is helping them organize better into cooperatives in their host communities, and then support them with incentives, access to finance, access to technology and training and capacity
All right,
building.
Honorable Minister, we barely scratched the surface, just like mining, but I guess we'll get across you subsequently so that we'll
You
go
need to dig deeper.
Yeah,
You can't continue to scratch the surface.
because many like to also get into this industry and do something and then grow the economy. Thank you for coming on, Dr. Kayode Fayemi.
Thank you for having me, Chamberlain.
There you go. That's the show today again. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Thank you, Maokwe Ogun.
Many thanks. I'm Sulaiman. Ladies, see you again.